I'm Savanah Silva, and this is my international issues speech. Facebook has over 1 billion users to date. If the social media powerhouse of the world was a country, it would be the third largest country in the world. At least that's what digitaltrends.com reports, a web-based company that highlights all the latest internet news. Social media has become one of the fastest growing web-based items the world has ever seen. According to a new eMarketer report, nearly 1 in 4 people worldwide use social networks. That means in this room alone, at least 2 of us are using some type of social networking. As a Facebook and Twitter user myself, I can say from experience that social media can get a tight grip on a person. Today I'm going to inform you how social media has become so prevalent in our everyday lives and why this is an international epidemic. I'll explain to you the causes of social media, along with the effects it can have in our daily lives, our personal viewpoints, and in the workforce. Social media has blown up in the past decade. Society has grown to thrive off of social media and basically rely on it. I remember in 5th grade I was considered weird for not having a MySpace, the Facebook of the early 2000s. That was almost 10 years ago today, and children now are all into social media. It's like children of this time period are born with an iPhone in their hand and profiles ready for activation. This epidemic isn't just restricted to the U.S. Mintel.com, a website devoted to the research of human behavior, states that over 60% of the UK kids between the ages of 10 to 15 admit to using some type of social media. Like I stated earlier, I myself am a very avid social media person. I do use Facebook and Twitter very regularly. I'm not the only one though. Cecilia King, a reporter for the Washington Post, did an article about teens and adults in social media. She stated that 9 out of 10 teens admit to using some type of social media. That statistic would have been startling 10 years ago, but today this doesn't even make for a second glance. Society has become so wrapped up in social media that we haven't even realized the negative consequences that this epidemic has. Society has come to feel like they have social media in order to keep up with their everyday lives. This silent epidemic is taking over the world's time. As I wrote this speech, I ended up checking my Twitter feed 57 times. It didn't help me with my actual outline, but it did help prove a point. My time was absolutely sucked up without me even realizing it. Brian Solis, a digital analyst, published some startling facts on his blog back in 2010. He said that on average, users spend at least 5 hours a day on social media. Now, even though this data is 4 years old, you can imagine how much the numbers have gone up in the years. Now, don't think that this issue is contained to only the U.S. David Solis also discovered that Australia leads the way in how many hours a person spends on social media with an astonishing 6 hours. The U.S. is a close second, followed by the U.K., then Italy. Now that I've explained to you how this international issue is taking over our lives, I'm going to explain to you the effects that social media and how devastating it can be. Our daily lives have come to revolve around all the forms of social media. There are many different types of social media that sometimes we aren't even aware that we're wasting our time. This graph shows the relevant ages of people who use social media. As you can tell, of course, it's the teenagers and the young adults who are totally absorbed by anything that has to do online. Sit in any dorm, any classroom, or any work cubicle on any continent, and I can almost guarantee that someone in there will be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or the latest craze, Pinterest. The world seems to waste precious time without even realizing this. Surprisingly, the main reason being comes from our natural instincts. Melissa Kong, a writer for Technori.com, a website dedicated to educating the world through content and advice, researched why people have become so engulfed in social media. We go on these sites to satisfy the intimate need to just feel connected. This result makes complete sense. We log onto Facebook to see how Grandpa Jim is doing, we go on Twitter to see what Brad Pitt is up to, and we post on Instagram so Jill can see how awesome our vacation is. This need is what fuels the international issue of social media. The human need to want to feel connected is what makes this issue so dangerous in our daily lives. But now I'm going to show you how social media can affect our personal views. A person's viewpoint can be easily influenced. Brian Jung, a writer for the Houston Chronicle, published an article about the effects social media can have on a person. Of all the effects that he talked about, ranging from a false sense of feeling connected to privacy issues, the biggest one was social media's cyberbullying. Jung said that the anonymity afforded online can bring out dark impulses that might otherwise be suppressed. This news has been blowing up lately with cyberbullying and the negative effects of it, with the worst being suicide. This is just one way that the international epidemic is affecting society's personal lives. Another yet negative, yet popular way social media is morphing society's viewpoints is how a person views their body. It's easy to sit in front of a computer screen and sit and watch for hours of Jennifer Aniston's and compare your body to hers. Young girls now compete for likes on photos, and one way to get that is to compromise their self-respect. Social media has given many people depression, anxiety, and personal viewpoint issues. Now that I've explained how social media affects a person's viewpoint, I'm going to explain the negative effects it can have in the workforce. We've all heard, watch what we post. Many times we don't listen, but we really should start, because many workforces look into potential employees' social media sites. It makes sense. I mean, why hire a person who's supposedly out sick, but they post pictures of them out partying? Social media allows for distraction rather than productivity. ABC News reported this week some surprising news, actually. They said that the American Bar Association ruled that it is now ethical for a lawyer to go through a potential juror's social media site like Facebook or Twitter. This basically changes the way the legal field now works. If a lawyer feels like he wouldn't support his client, he could alter his way of trying to come to you or find somebody else. It's all a part of the international epidemic of social media. Today I explained how social media has become an international issue. I described the effects this issue has on our daily lives, our personal viewpoints, and in the workforce. Social media can be a wonderful way to feel connected and satisfy the natural need, but only in small doses. Think of it this way. You wouldn't spend all your time sitting in the sun because it would eventually be deadly. So why spend all your time on social media? Remember that next time before you log on.